It's official. Nasdaq just filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, to allow tokenized stocks and ETFs or exchange traded funds to be traded directly on their exchange. I'll repeat that again: tokenized stocks and ETFs directly on the Nasdaq. This isn't a rumor. This is Nasdaq's own filing. If approved, this will mark the first time in U.S. history that tokenized securities are fully integrated into the national market system. Trillions upon trillions coming into the crypto space. This is going to be a good one. All right, so I'm going to hop right in. This is the filing, and specifically amendments to Nasdaq's equity rules that they're requesting through the SEC to get changed are equity rule number 1 and 4. Here's what this means to you and I. They're basically asking for a security on the Nasdaq to exist in 2 forms. The first form is going to be the normal form, which is traditional digital form as it sits right now. The second form is going to be in tokenized form. Now, if a security on the Nasdaq is listed as a tokenized form, shares must be fungible. They must share the same CUSIP number. They must provide investors with the same rights as traditional shares, voting, dividends, and liquidation. So they have to allow for all the same safeguards that exist currently on the Nasdaq when a security is listed. Orders on the Nasdaq will be entered into the same order book. Pretty interesting there, because essentially now you have the digital stock, which as it already is, sitting, and now you have a tokenized form, and they're going to be converging this order book with the same priority rules for securities as well. Whether it's traditional or tokenized doesn't matter from what they're saying. In short, a tokenized Apple share must equal a regular Apple share in every material way without shortcuts. When an investor places an order, they can check a flag to request tokenized settlement. This is wild. Nasdaq will pass that instruction to the Depository Trust Company. DTC will then move the position from the participant's account into a DTC-controlled account. Mint a tokenized equivalent. Deliver it to the investor's DTC-registered blockchain wallet. Trades will settle on a T+1, and Nasdaq made it clear. Tokenization, for those of you guys that don't know, T+1 is 1 day settlement, T+2 is 2 day settlement, T+0 is 0 days, and we get down into atomic settlement and all the stuff we've been talking about. This is crazy, though. Tokenization won't change how orders are routed. For now, price, surveilled, or reported. Nasdaq uses the Invesco QQQ ETF as an example. An investor could submit a limit order for a tokenized QQQ. It goes into the same book as traditional QQQ. The order can match against either tokenized or traditional shares. And when the trade executes, it's reported to the SIP just like normal. The only difference, settlement happens in tokenized, or settlement happens in token form. Why Nasdaq says this matters. Nasdaq stresses 3 things for this submittal. Number 1, tokenized shares aren't derivatives or proxies. Equal rights. They must carry full shareholder rights. Number 2, investor protection. Tokenization has to happen inside the national market system. No siloed crypto exchanges with fake stock tokens that lack voting rights. Minimal change is number 3. Existing Nasdaq rules, surveillance, pricing, and regulatory protections are to remain in place. This is pretty wild now that I'm going through this, and Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation just found that patent a couple of months ago. And you can see some of this stuff is routing through the DTCC. Let me pull up this patent. I was not planning on going through this today, but I believe it's maybe a little bit relevant now. DTCC's master plan, tokenizing quadrillions in global assets with centralized control. Let me see if this pulls up. Some of you guys may remember the video I did back in April and May, found this patent DTCC's quadrillions. It talks about the networks that are integrated. I also want to give a shout out to Chainlink because Chainlink deeply integrated with DTCC as well. And they are essentially talking about a wallet hierarchy for key management, detailed plans for moving global financial rights onto distributed ledger technology. For those that aren't aware, DTCC deals with about arguably 2.5 to 3.7 quadrillion dollars in volume annually. And a little bit relevant now that we're talking about the Nasdaq in their submittal to the SEC, again, talking about the stuff moving through DTCC, Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. And we can find that right here. Clearing and settlement instructions to the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. Isn't it funny how far the rabbit hole goes? DTCC's plan for digital liquidity tokens also mentioned directly the XRP Ledger and Stellar. And again, DTCC and all the pilots they've done with Chainlink. So I want to make sure I give a shout out as well there. This is not just an overhaul, ladies and gentlemen. This is tokenization plugged directly into Wall Street's plumbing. This is when you hear all of those, individuals at these blockchain firms talking about everything will be tokenized. This is one of the big ways that we get there. For some context for you guys, there's more than 3,300 total company listings on the Nasdaq, over 2,500 tracked through the Nasdaq Composite Index, about 7,000 Nasdaq listed securities as of September 2024, over 8.5 billion shares are on the Nasdaq right now. Total dollar volume, we start getting up into, as of September 5th, $450 billion. All of crypto, for some context for you, is sitting around $136 billion. So we would essentially 3x the volume of 3 or 4x the volume, somewhere around there, the entire volume of the crypto markets. How much total value sits on the Nasdaq right now? $22.4 trillion as of December 2023. And you better believe that the Nasdaq and the New York Stock Exchange, once this goes through, if this goes through, and it's only a matter of time, it's not a matter of if, it's a when. Nasdaq and New York Stock Exchange combined in 2021 about $52.26 trillion. And for some more context for you guys, where we sit at right now with total real world assets on chain for crypto as a whole, without stable coins, only $28 billion. You're legitimately talking about tens of trillions of dollars compared to, let's say, 28, 30, 40, somewhere around there, $billion. It is not even a misting in the bucket right now. This is why every time I've brought this chart up in the past to you all, I've said that this is going to look like Bitcoin in 2009 in about 5, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever it is, maybe even less, given some of this context here. Now, I want to add into this, again, DTCC clears 2.5 quadrillion annually. We saw in this NASDAQ document direct referencing of all the DTCC stuff as well. And this is new. All this stuff ties in together. If you don't get it already, now hopefully you get a little bit of it. This all ties in together. Real world assets on public blockchains, where they're at. If NASDAQ's proposal is approved and DTCC infrastructure and all this other stuff goes live in 2026, this could be the trigger point for obviously multiple trillions of dollars moving on chain. I have been one to think that I do not think that this market cycle that we are currently in is the market cycle of RWA, utility, this utility bull market. I don't even know if the next one's going to be, but I do think that the next cycle that we get into in the next few years here is going to be that real world asset. You're going to start a real world asset cycle. You're going to start seeing the networks that are taking the lion's share of these tokenized stocks, tokenized securities, tokenized whatever real world asset it might be. You literally have the NASDAQ saying that they want to have tokenized representations of stocks, ETFs, bonds, all under securities law with investor protections intact, liquidity for traditionally illiquid assets, democratization of finance and access into the financial system for those that are gate kept out. So the question is, will the SEC greenlight NASDAQ's filing and open the floodgates for Tokenized Wall Street. What do you guys think? Drop your comments below. Like and subscribe to this if you like some of these deep dives. And again, it's not a matter of if, it's when. You can see this filing right here. You can go and dig into the DTCC documentation that carries over into this. I want to also give a shout out today before I stop this video. This is massive though, guys. Grayscale filed for the first US Chainlink ETF. This is recent, September 5th, converting its Grayscale Chainlink Trust into a spot ETF under the ticker GLNK on New York Stock Exchange ARCA. The ETF would offer regulated exposure to Link without requiring investors to hold the token directly. More and more financial products, and we're starting to see enterprises continue to dip their toes into blockchain and distributed ledger in a way that makes sense to them. Qatar Financial Center, their digital asset lab, launched a Hashgraph proof of concept to advance innovation in Islamic finance. I believe QFC, the parent organization, has like 3,300 firms, 11,700 employees from 153 nationalities, combined AUM nearing $33 billion as of mid-2025. Their digital asset lab is an initiative by the QFC, a leading onshore financial hub in Qatar, to foster and accelerate the development of digital assets, serving as a platform for collaborative innovation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it is something to note that these environments, this is built on Hedera technology, Hashsphere, but it is not Hedera mainnet, for some context for you guys. But essentially think of it like, almost a gateway onto mainnet. Some of these enterprises and institutions that want to come into these environments, almost these sandboxy type environments, but can't do so potentially due to current regulations, or potentially due to literally they just don't feel comfortable enough with the technology yet, or whatever the reason may be. This gives them an opportunity to test out use cases in kind of a controlled private environment, see what impact it's going to have on processes or products or whatever it may be within their organizations. And then whether it be due to regulatory clarity or just due to comfort level or whatever it may be, it becomes that much easier to kind of switch over onto these public networks. So shout out there to Hashgraph and Hashsphere and QFC Digital Asset Lab again, and also Chainlink. But guys, as I ramp this down here, I think enough said. I mean, a proposed rule change to amend the exchange's rules to enable the trading of securities on the exchange in tokenized form, literally talking about the Nasdaq. And all this stuff ties directly into what we've been talking about with DTCC and everybody else. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you hopefully when the Nasdaq is trading tokenized securities. No, sooner than that. But I'll talk to you guys. Bye.